Hello and welcome to episode number 37. Are you all right, Tom?
Yeah, just about, Marcus.
Oh yeah, why?
Well, I've been partying all weekend.
Have you? Oh,
yeah.
No. What have you been doing? I don't think we should.
No,
we don't go there.
There was only very few illegal incidents.
Yeah,
so
good.
We can't talk about everything that happened.
No. I wasn't there. I went home early because I'm good.
You're good, yeah. No, I'm good as well.
I actually went home.
I'm good, Marcus.
Yeah. I went home early because I had to do some more research on what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah.
And that is the artist Jean Michel Basquiat. I love saying that. It's got a nice ring.
Basquiat. So Basquiat, he's not from the Basque country.
No.
Is Basquiat a country?
Basquiat, no. Basquiat, I do not believe, is a country.
Yeah.
They've got the Basque region, but in Spain. But the reason why he's called Basquiat, I believe, is probably because he's inherited it from his father, who's Haitian, and his mother was Puerto Rican. Now, who was Basquiat? Basquiat was he's a painter. He paints in what's called the neo-expressionist style. And that's a style of painting that came out as a reaction against conceptual and minimal art that was around in the 1970s. So, of course, you had this world of art that was quite thought out. It was all about the concept. It was all about the idea. And later on, these art painters come along and go, no, I don't want to do that. I want to start painting real things. So they started painting recognisable objects, anything. In Basquiat's case, it could have been cars, people, instruments, anything sort of recognising, but the work was really rough.
Tins of Campbell's soup?
Campbell's soup. Oh, that's a bit Warhol.
That is Warhol.
But you could do an expressionist Campbell's soup. If you painted in a really kind of like really vivid, emotional kind of quite strong colours, quite strong brushstrokes. That's the kind of.
But Basquiat wouldn't have painted that. I guess.
I'm sure he would have done.
Oh right, yeah.
Because Warhol will come up in the story that we're about to tell.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm pleased to hear that.
That's a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Andy Warhol always has this effect, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, he has come up. We haven't actually done a Warhol episode, but he does seem to come up every now and then.
You can't talk about art without mentioning Duchamp or Warhol.
Oh right, yeah.
Or Banksy or Trump. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Brexit, man. Brexit.
Oh no. So, anyway, I know what you're saying that. Can I have a biog?
Yeah. Can I have a biog of Mr. Basquiat?
Basquiat, yeah. I'd just like to say before I start, he was a mega star. He became a mega star of art, and he's one of the most important artists of the 20th century.
Oh, right, yeah.
So just
if he was a music artist, what is he like?
Hendrix,
yeah.
Straight away, Jimi Hendrix. I don't know if it's the Jimi Hendrix of art, but there are certainly similarities, I think.
He's in the 27 Club then?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Oh no, spoiler alert.
Oh, sorry.
Spoiler alert.
Well, there were too many clues.
So, he was born in 1960, and his dad was Haitian and an accountant. Apparently his dad used to bring back paper for him to draw on. I don't know why that was even mentioned as a fact. Now, my only theory is that his dad brought back like graph paper or lined accountant's
Yeah, but
paper.
I mean, if your son liked drawing, you'd bring him back paper, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would, yeah.
You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, my dad used to do that, bring back paper for me from school, but it was college paper. So he only had college letterhead on it, but this one, I suppose, accountant's paper would have had like columns for money in and money out.
Ooh, do you think that influenced his style, having the using like accounting paper?
I don't know, but I'm sure there's numbers have appeared on it, and symbols, chemical symbols appear in his work as well, and numbers. Yeah. So, I mean, this is the thing that you'll discover with Basquiat. He's a bit of I think he's not a sieve is not the right word, but he kind of like sucks up every single cultural reference that he knows about, everything he's read. He's very well read. He spoke 3 languages. So you've got this very well-read person, and when he comes up to a canvas, he just all comes out, however it falls, and he kind of like puts it through the Basquiat filter. So he takes all this incredible knowledge and culture, and mixes it all up and creates these new works.
Yeah, so I'm getting the image now of like a flame burning bright.
Yes.
So, he's in the 27 club, so he burns bright and then he just disappears, he dies.
Yeah. Oh no, we said spoiler and now it's spoiled. It's spoiled.
No, well, I'm learning. I don't know anything about Basquiat.
So on with the biog then, is that what you're saying? Yes. Yeah. So he loved drawing, and his mum was very encouraging of his drawing, and she used to take him to many museums and galleries to look at the works. It was particularly drawn to Picasso's Guernica when he was younger.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, so he said that left quite a mark on him. And another thing that actually influenced him in future life was in 1968 he was hit by a car, and he was actually hospitalised for a month. And whilst he was in recovery, his mum gave him a copy of Gray's Anatomy, which is a medical book. And in a lot of future artworks, you'll see that Basquiat references medical textbooks quite a lot. He's quite interested in anatomy.
Yeah, so there's similarities with the Mexican painter. What's her name?
Frida Kahlo. Yes, yeah. There is. Well connected. Tom, how do you feel?
I don't know. Well, all I remembered was she's Mexican.
And she had back trouble.
She got hit by a bus, didn't she?
Yeah, she was in a bus crash. Yeah. Bus. I can't even say bus now.
Yeah. Basquiat.
No, that's a bad bus. No, it's not. It's a good bus. I don't know. Why am I labelling buses?
Right, yeah, well, maybe it's because of this man here.
Yeah. So, his parents split up and he went to live with his father. Now, I don't think Basquiat liked being told what to do, and his father, I think, was, not bad, but quite disciplined. He liked children to be quite obedient and behave.
So he missed the swinging sixties, his dad, possibly.
Yeah, possibly. He was a swinging accountant. No, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right at all, but there you go. So, basically, they would clash a lot. So, Basquiat actually ran away a few times.
A typical teenager.
Yeah. So, in 1978, he left for good. I mean, his father actually gave him some money, so that sort of shows the relationship.
Yeah, but he was rebelling, wasn't he?
Yeah. And his father said, here's some money, try and make a success of yourself.
So where was he born, Basquiat?
He was actually born in Brooklyn, in New York. He went temporarily to live in Puerto Rico with his father, and then he came back to New York when he ran away again in 1978.
So this was when he was 17?
Yes. So New York at the time was quite run down, but it was a real rundown, a lot of poverty, but also it was a mecca for a lot of artists, a lot of musicians, a lot of the cool people used to hang out there.
Yeah, John and Yoko.
They used to hang out there as well.
They lived in New York, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I don't know if they lived in that really rough part, though, didn't they?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, I can't imagine, yeah.
Dakota Building they lived.
Oh, was that?
Yeah, so that's probably somewhere quite fancy, I know.
Probably like Central Park or something, I'm guessing. So, in 78, you can imagine this is kind of like there's a bit of a graffiti scene going on, a lot of writing, a lot of graffiti writing. It seemed to be more sort of writing and lettering styles and tags with the odd occasional image. It wasn't.
Yeah, and hip hop was almost being born at that time.
Yeah, that was burgeoning, that kind of scene.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to say here, Basquiat came in sort of like that scene, but he never was really a graffiti artist. Because he was, he was poor when he moved there. He would live on the street or sleep on people's couches. So he had no art supplies. So his canvas was the street. That is why he painted originally on the street, as I'm about to tell you. So he hooks up with a friend called Al Diaz, and as an art statement, they decide to start writing stuff around New York. And of course, one of the key things is Basquiat is someone who wants to become famous. And what graffiti artists do is by tagging things and putting your name up there, you're creating this kind of fame for yourself as well.
Yeah.
You're getting your work out there, you're getting seen. And so they created some an art. They went. So what him and his friend did was they went round places in New York, almost as a sort of like a counterpoint to all the mess and the decay. They'd write statements, and these could be jokes. These could be funny phrases. These could be funny phrases. These could be a little bit of street philosophy, little soundbite, and a lot of them were comments against the art establishment.
All right. So, what sort have you got an example?
Yes, yeah, I have. For instance, there's one. Could be on a door, and you walk past, turn a street corner, and you see on the door, "SAMO copyright for the so-called avant-garde," or same old shit for the so-called avant-garde.
Yeah, so that's an attack on the avant-garde, isn't it?
Yeah.
So-called Islamic State. That's a kind of, it's a disrespect.
Yeah,
isn't it?
And it's how you engage with it, isn't it? It's kind of how you read it.
Yeah, because he, as far as he was concerned, he wouldn't call them avant-garde. They're so-called avant-garde.
Yeah. Trendy. And then there's another one. You could walk. You turn another corner and you'd be confronted with a stark brick wall with the words written in big red letters: "Stop the train of thought. SAMO." Same old shit. Signed. So it's written, "Stop the train of thought."
So he was against the art establishment in New York, and the artists and the things. What was he? Just a rebel?
Well, it's kind of like it's also making statements. But as much about that, it's about creating a little bit of a stir as well. So for instance, there's another one here: "SAMO as an end to mind-wash religion, nowhere politics and bogus philosophy." So imagine you see that on a train just going past you. It's kind of like. So you can imagine that became quite a talk. People thinking, "Who's this?" Because at the time, you've got a lot of graffiti was just really cool. I mean, obviously it's quite cool, but it was cool lettering, and there was nothing like this at all. This was kind of like flash. I don't know, flash. It's not flash fiction, but it's like sound bites and.
We're quite used to that in Brighton because we see there's one bit that just says "art is crap" in big letters.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Or the "springtime is not just for daffodils."
Daisies, and the one that actually went on our Instagram account. What's our Instagram account? Modern Art is Rubbish.
Yeah.
Yeah. One that actually went on our Instagram account that I've got a photo of, which is "One day I hope we all fall in love."
Yeah, so we're used to seeing these sorts of styles of graffiti around here.
But at the time, this was completely like, what the hell? Never seen anything like this. This was art as opposed to just, it was art that was done on the street, I would say. So of course, you can imagine the New York art scene. They're thinking, "Who the hell's SAMO?" There's a bit of talk going on, and of course. Basquiat ever wanting to be famous. They're quite liking this. Now, this him and his friend only did this for 6 months. They were doing it as a kind of like a fun project, and basically there was a little bit of tension between him and his friend Al Diaz, who he was doing this work with, because Basquiat quite liked the fact that that SAMO was getting the sort of notoriety, but unlike Banksy, who hasn't played his cover, Basquiat felt that he wanted to be known and he wanted to tell everyone, "I'm SAMO."
Oh, right, yeah. So that's not very nice to his friend, who was also SAMO.
Well, yeah, I don't know if there was a tension, but I don't think he was completely happy, because what happened after about sort of like towards the end of 1978, there's a magazine called The Village Voice, which was like a cool cultural magazine for New York. And Basquiat comes out saying, "I am SAMO."
in the British magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sadly, you turn a corner next and you see SAMO is dead. That's what started to appear on walls.
All right. Yeah.
So there was it now. And then Basquiat never really collaborated with his friend Al Diaz again.
Yeah. Well, he's ruthless. Basquiat. He didn't care about his friend. He just wanted celebrity, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's. Yeah.
He's what we call a cunt, isn't he?
No,
sorry, all right. Yeah, but he's ruthless. He doesn't care about his friend. It's more important to him to be famous.
Yeah, I think there is a choice. He's very driven. I think he's focused on the one thing. I don't think it was necessarily done out of being bad, but it was about not necessarily caring. And the thing is but as a caveat to what you just said, later on, when Basquiat was successful, he did go and visit his friend Al Diaz and gave him a painting which had written on it, "To SAMO, from SAMO." So he did remember his friend, and his friend said, regrettably, I actually sold the work not long after.
Oh, right, yeah.
So it's not all something.
Yeah, so I guess, and you would, feeling about Diaz, his friend, you'd feel a bit like, I imagine he felt very let down, that's why he sold it straight away. He couldn't forgive Basquiat for...
That's probably because at that time Basquiat's paintings went on to become worth quite a lot, quite quickly.
Yeah.
So it's probably a bit of money. So
a bit of jealousy as well, I think.
Well, perhaps. In 1979, he thought the next thing to get himself known was he formed a band. Now, you know as well as I do, we're both musicians and we both do art as well. And the thing is it's the same part of the brain, isn't it? It's totally interchangeable. Doing art, doing music are one and the same thing.
I guess so. I'd never thought about that before, but I'll roll with it.
I've even drawn synth noises and I've drawn sounds before. I've actually painted a sound before I've actually made the sound.
Yeah, we made a drawing and we put it on a MIDI system. We had a picture of something and we turned it into a riff,
yes. I actually made that was it, wasn't it? We did a drawing using the pixels for the sound. What was it? We did a drawing. So yes,
it was on a MIDI keyboard.
We did a drawing using a music program. Yeah. So using the squares of a music program, did a drawing and then made it into a piece of music.
Yeah. So each dot from the drawing was a note. Wasn't it?
So in that respect, I mean that's taking it quite literally, but it's the same part of the brain. So basically, in 1979, he got together with a group of friends and formed a band called Grey, which was an experimental band, and they made kind of noise music. So it's kind of like free jazz, but anything goes, because none of them could really, I don't know if any of them in the band could really play any instruments.
Sure.
So it's kind of like a strange experimental, but apparently people quite liked it.
Yeah.
So have you ever heard any noise music? No.
Well, maybe not out and about, I suppose. What, just complete random noise?
Well, I think it's kind of like whatever goes. Yeah, it's almost like free form, kind of like free jazz, I suppose. But not quite free jazz, because I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because
the musicianship.
Yeah, because obviously Hendrix was free. He was like wild and free, his like style, wasn't it? But he was very good.
Like, yeah. Yeah, whereas I think this was just more wild and free.
Yeah. Without the the musicianship, maybe, possibly.
So that was quite, but they were quite popular, so so that again increased that kind of fame. And in 1980, this is when he started to step out. He started to use the name SAMO as he was invited, or he was given the opportunity to participate in a show that was called the Times Square Show, and it was like an open exhibition where basically people could, it was an open exhibition and many artists entered it in 1980. And his work was really, really popular from that show.
So what was he presenting? Paintings?
Yeah, sort of small scale drawings at the time.
Drawings, okay.
Yeah, so he worked on small scale. Now, it's important to also note, or I think drawings or paintings, I'm not sure actually, so he was either, but it was a smaller scale, it was either smaller scale drawings or smaller scale paintings.
When you say smaller scale, they were just small.
Yes, he wasn't working on big scale. Yeah. But also, just to mention at the time, this is something I didn't mention, was that he also used to use everything as a canvas at the time as well. So he would grab doors and paint on those.
Well, he did his SAMO.
Yeah, but he would literally take a door home and paint on that. He would stay around friends' houses, and it wasn't uncommon for him to just paint on the fridge.
Yeah.
And he also used to paint on clothes, and
so I guess all his friends would lose their deposits, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah.
There's a sketch there.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That is a sketch. Yeah, you've got that already. Yeah. So
yeah.
And even there was one case where the guy was kicked out of his flat, and they chucked all of the Basquiat works in the dumpster.
Oh, what? So he left his works, his paintings.
Oh, drawing or bits, yeah, or on typewriters. He would use whatever he could find to draw on. So in 1981, as a result of being successful in Times Square, he was offered a show at the PS1 gallery called New York New Wave, and from that point on, his career just went stratospheric.
Oh right, yeah.
Because people were buying his paintings, and actually one of the earliest people to buy one of his paintings was Debbie Harry.
Not Andy Warhol.
No, not Andy Warhol. Well,
Debbie Harry, right? Yeah.
Actually, there is a story, and we're all talking about Andy Warhol,
and I'm waiting for his mention. I'm on the edge of the seat.
I've been getting Warhol in your face for ages. So
yeah, Debbie Harry bought one.
But it was bought his first painting.
It's for 81 or 80. She'd been very famous then, wouldn't she?
Yeah, she was very famous. So I found out as well, another Debbie Harry fact that I was found interesting was the fact that Ted Bundy, the serial killer, tried to pick her up once.
Oh, right. What, outside
when she was waitressing.
Oh, right, yeah.
There you go, there's a little Debbie Harry
Has Debbie Harry told that story?
Yes, I've read it somewhere. Yeah, just tell me. I don't know Debbie Harry.
Yeah, we should do a sketch about that.
So, he was offered, as a result of this gallery thing, he was offered a one-man show in Italy. Now, you can imagine this guy's just gone stratospheric. So he's off because he's getting big. He's got offered a show in Italy. Everyone wants to know him. He's really, really good work. He's really, really popular.
Debbie Harry's got one.
Yeah.
You know what that reminds me of? It's like Kurt Cobain with Daniel Johnson wearing the T-shirt.
Yeah.
You have someone who's really famous wearing your stuff. Suddenly, Daniel Johnson became very cool, didn't he? And everyone wanted to know who he was.
It's a bit like appearing on an episode of Modern Night Rubbish, isn't it, really?
No. So I said that too quickly.
It's a bit like appearing on an episode of Modern Night Rubbish.
Absolutely.
So you can imagine he's really famous. Now, there's a point to be noted here, of course, there's a lot of drugs going around in the scene. You know, there's a lot of people taking drugs, and he's not immune to this.
Right, yeah.
So just be aware that he's creating his works, he's painting, he's got his own studio, he's now moved on to massive, larger canvases.
Stronger drugs.
Yeah.
So in the early 80s, the drug scene, what was he taking? What sort of drugs was going around in those days?
Well, I mean, sadly, a lot of people were experimenting with heroin. That was quite a big one at the time.
Sure, yeah. Which, as we know, doesn't do anyone any good.
No. I knew someone who started doing heroin, and I never trusted him since, because you just thought he was always on the lookout to see what stuff he could steal.
Oh, right, yeah.
No disrespect to the person, but it's the drug you're dealing with. You're not dealing with the personality anymore.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is where Basquiat is. So he's in his early 20s now.
You know, he's suddenly become from poor to suddenly, like, his paintings are now selling for thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Yeah. So he
doesn't need to steal doors or anything.
You know, he can buy. No. So he can buy. You know, he can buy whatever he wants. He can stay wherever he wants, because he's just got his paintings were already worth a lot, and also major galleries are starting to have already bought his work. And bearing in mind, you know,
he's young. He's very young, because you look at most artists breaking through. Yeah, they're much older.
No, you're talking, you know, this guy
40s, 50s.
He was at 20 by the age of 24. He was huge. He was already a big major star. Something I want to point out, just so I don't forget, is the fact that because he was an African American as well, it's also worth remembering that he had this strange situation whereby he would be revered at all these art exhibitions, and people going, "Oh, this is amazing" and stuff, and then he still find it hard sometimes to get a cab home because he was black.
Wow, yeah.
You know, so there is that kind of strange thing, because he's one of the first, you know, black Americans to really break through in the art scene. There were artists previously.
Yeah, as you've been talking about Hendrix, he's been mentioned at least once.
But also, I mean, I'm talking about actual painters. There have been famous black painters before, but you know, he's obviously one that's quite like
on painting,
like really come through big.
Yeah.
Now, in 1982, he's introduced to Andy Warhol. Now, just to mention, when Basquiat was 17, 18, he used to make postcards. He made them out of, he used to use the colour Xerox, you know, the photocopier, because at the time, photocopying was really quite pretty poor, the technology for photocopying, but towards the late 70s or towards the 70s or the mid 70s, the quality of colour photocopying suddenly improved greatly. So all these sort of like fanzines, magazines were printed, and people would use all these cool flyers, because suddenly now you had these photocopiers that could actually produce quite good images. So that's where that kind of like that punk aesthetic came in, from photocopying things, because it's improvement. And Basquiat made a lot of postcards using photocopied imagery and writing and drawing on them, and he would sell these as well as painting on clothes to sort of earn some extra money. And one day he was walking past the Soho restaurant, and he saw Andy Warhol in there when he was 18. And he walked in, and Andy Warhol bought a few of his postcards.
Oh, so he was selling these postcards?
Yes.
Yeah, so, all right, cool.
So Andy Warhol bought some. Flash forward to 1982, and he's reintroduced to Andy Warhol again. Now, when they meet each other, they get on really well, and Andy Warhol kind of like goes on to become a bit of a father figure to him. So apparently, I was reading that Andy Warhol would sometimes say to Basquiat, you know, even if he was smoking pot, he'd sort of say, "Look, I don't know how Andy, I'm going to try an Andy Warhol kind of thing. Oh, Basquiat, I really think you shouldn't be smoking so much pot."
Is it Jean Michel? Is this name?
Yeah.
Surely you call him Jean Michel.
Jean Michel. That's not very good for that's a kind of a bad English Warhol I was doing there, but he was very protective of him.
You know, and encouraged him creatively.
Yeah.
Being Andy Warhol.
Yes.
You'd be inspired, I suppose, being a young artist.
Because also the thing is as well is Andy Warhol to Basquiat is the model of what being a famous artist is, you know. So for him to hang around with him and be with him also was very much for him. It was like this kind of great, you know, it almost would put him up there with the level of those artists, which is what he wanted to be. He wanted to insert himself to an extent, I think, and as we'll talk about when we look at some of his works, he wants to insert himself into art history almost. Yeah. So he wants to become part of this and hang around with Warhol. And they even collaborated together, and they, so they were friends for like about 3 years, I think it was. And so they were friends for a few years.
Why did the friendship end then?
Well, this is it. They had a show. They did a show together. Now, what it was they actually collaborated on some paintings, which now, when you actually look at the paintings, it was like part Warhol, part Basquiat. So you'd have like Warhol would do a sort of like one of his kind of like stencils, and then Basquiat would like work on it, and then they collaborate to make these works. And they had a show in. Sorry, hold on. Yeah, sorry. So in 1985, they had a show of their joint works. Basically, it was not that well received. Now, the problem is that people said, oh, no, look at Warhol, because Warhol was not that fashionable in the sort of mid-80s. His style was on the wane. He was still very famous, but he wasn't kind of like cool as he was previously. And people sort of said, oh, look at Basquiat, who's trying to hang around with Warhol, and do paintings with him so that, he might get on the level of Warhol. And people were saying about Warhol, look at him, he's a sort of like a not slightly faded artist, and he's trying to bring up his cool by hanging around with Basquiat.
All right, so it's like a young singer doing a duet with Gareth Gates.
Yeah, yeah, we need to explain Gareth Gates. I'll find them
forget that.
That's a bit of an obscure reference for everyone in the world. Yeah, but that kind of thing. So it's or when Mariah Carey team with Westlife. Now that is the really even worse analogy.
Yeah, well, Mariah Carey has broken records in that she broke a record in the lead up to Christmas for most streams in a day.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so her star's can hardly call it fading at the moment.
No, it's not. Well done, Mariah.
yeah.
Even if you do
I think it was Christmas Eve.
Sometimes.
It's been since broken, by the way.
Oh, sorry, Mariah.
Streaming records, briefly.
We've let down a lot of Mariah Carey fans. Do you think we've got any Mariah Carey fans that listen?
I know a couple of Mariah Carey fans.
That listen to the pod?
Possibly.
Oh my God.
They're, cousins or whatever.
Yeah, cousins do. Cousins always listen to Mariah.
yeah.
So their works weren't well received at the time, and Basquiat thought that this show would suddenly put him up there, and people would be going Warhol, Basquiat in the same words, the same phrase, and he would then become this artist, this great artist. And bearing in mind, 1985, he would have been 25.
So he was looking at Warhol rather than an artist who starts fading. He was looking at him like a stepping stone.
Well, yes, he was, but there was also a genuine fondness and a genuine caring for it. But I think in some ways he had this vision that he wanted, and when this vision was somehow taken away from him, it felt like he almost couldn't handle it. So he drifted apart from Warhol.
He drifted apart?
They drifted apart.
Oh, they drifted.
Sorry, he drifted apart. Yeah, it sounds like I'm describing one of his paintings.
Yeah.
No. So they drifted apart. I think they still kept slightly into contact, but it was never quite the same. However, in 1987.
So he's 27. Oh, 26 would be.
Yeah. 27 in 87 probably.
No, but he's 27 in December. His birthday's the end of the year, isn't it?
Oh yes, okay,
yeah. So he's been 26.
So 26, 27 in 1987. Warhol went in for a routine operation, and he died. And when Basquiat found out about this, he just fell apart. It absolutely ruined his world.
Oh,
He was really, really devastated and inconsolable. So he became quite withdrawn. He continued to paint, and people weren't looking at his art as he still was big, but to what I felt from looking at it, his work wasn't as well received as it had been, and so he continued to paint, and of course he continued, unfortunately, to use heroin. And the sad thing was that they asked his father about this, and his father remembers saying, I just wish that someone had actually phoned me up and said that he had a drug problem. No one contacted him, and he said none of the friends thought to contact him and actually say what was happening.
Yeah.
So his father could have stepped in and saved this, from doing drugs again. So sadly, in 1988, at the age of 27, on August the 12th, Basquiat died from an overdose of heroin. Now, I don't think it wasn't, to what I've read, it wasn't suicide. It was just an
extra strong batch.
Extra strong batch.
They had a batch in the news this week of a load of people in Essex in the South End there. 6 people had died. And wasn't it the same with Janis Joplin in the 60s? Wasn't it said she had a strong batch in which everyone who took it died, or a lot of people did?
It's tragic. Absolutely tragic.
So is that what happened to him, possibly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, the thing is in the 90s, his work wasn't as fashionable as it had been. I mean, it was still sought after. I mean, Basquiat not being fashionable is still probably, the level of unfashionable Basquiat is probably what most people could only dream of. But gradually his work became more and more popular again.
What, since he died?
Yeah, since he died, and gradually there's a lot of famous actors that bought his work, and he's featured in songs by people like Kanye West, Jay-Z. So they feature songs about Basquiat in his in their songs. And I mean, a couple of years ago, one of the Basquiat paintings went for £85 million, which is about $110 million at sale. So now he's now revered to be one of the, probably one of the greatest artists of the 20th century, and a very important artist.
Wow, yeah. So in his lifetime, he was pretty successful by the sound of it during his life.
I think inspired.
Since he's gone totally mega.
The speed of which his work has grown is incredible, and I can't really think of another artist. There are a few, but
let's have a look at the work.
Yes.
We haven't looked at it yet.
Yes, no, that
apart from the graffiti we looked at.
Yes. So what I've done is I've picked a few paintings, Tom, and I'm going to teach you how to look at Basquiat.
Oh, right.
How to read Basquiat. Now, all these works, there'll either be links on the website, or if you head over to our Facebook page, we'll have there'll be a post up where you can see the works we're talking about, so that you can join in wherever you are. Although if you're driving, please don't look at images and keep focused on the road.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I've picked 3 little works. All right.
Can I have a look?
Okay, yeah, right.
Are you handing them?
No.